Everyone loves the idea of a lock, a bet that feels guaranteed. The type of pick people screenshot, brag about, and throw half their bankroll on because someone on social media said it can't lose. But here's the uncomfortable truth about sports betting. The market doesn't reward hype, it rewards information. And most of the time, the bets that actually hold long-term value are not the ones being shouted across Twitter or Instagram. They're the quiet ones, the overlooked lines, the spots that sportsbooks slightly misprice because the public simply isn't paying attention. And if you understand where to look, those are the bets that slowly stack your bankroll over time. This is exactly where the biggest advantage in betting exists, not in guessing winners, not in chasing parlays, but in identifying when the odds are slightly wrong. Sportsbooks are incredibly efficient, but they aren't perfect. Every single day, across MMA, NBA, NFL, tennis, and other major sports, lines are adjusted based on betting volume, narratives, injuries, public bias, and algorithms that try to balance risk. When millions of dollars are moving through markets, even a small miscalculation can create opportunity. And most bettors miss it because they're chasing the obvious plays instead of understanding why certain bets are quietly undervalued. Take MMA, for example. The public loves big names. When a fighter has highlight knockouts, a strong social media presence, or comes off a flashy finish, the betting line often shifts heavily in their direction. But the fight itself is still decided by styles, pacing, durability, grappling control, and conditioning. Fighters with strong wrestling pressure, superior cardio, or durability frequently get undervalued because they aren't flashy. Yet these fighters often grind out decisions, neutralize dangerous opponents, and cash tickets that the public completely overlooked. That's one of the most common mispriced angles in MMA betting, style matchups that favor the less popular fighter. Another place mispricing happens constantly is in totals markets. In MMA, people love betting on knockouts and early finishes because it's exciting, but statistically, a large percentage of fights go the distance, especially when both fighters have solid defensive grappling or conservative striking styles. When the public heavily bets the under, sportsbooks sometimes inflate the price on the over. That's where value appears. Not because the over is guaranteed, but because the odds are offering a better probability than the fight realistically has. Over time, consistently betting lines that carry that slight edge is what separates disciplined bettors from people just chasing adrenaline. This exact concept shows up across every major sport. In the NBA, public bettors are heavily drawn to star players and high-scoring teams. When a team like the Lakers, Celtics, or Warriors plays, the betting market often sees massive public action on them regardless of matchup specifics. Sportsbooks adjust lines accordingly to balance that action. That's when underdogs quietly become valuable. A team with strong defensive efficiency, favorable rest advantages, or matchup edges in the paint might be getting extra points simply because the public prefers the brand name team. Those are the types of spots where experienced bettors quietly take the points while everyone else piles onto the favorite. The NFL has its own version of this phenomenon. Primetime games and heavily televised matchups attract enormous betting volume. Public bettors often lean toward favorites and overs, especially when explosive offenses are involved. But historically, divisional games tend to be closer than expected. Teams know each other's playbooks, defensive tendencies, and coaching patterns. That familiarity often leads to tighter games and slower pacing. When sportsbooks set lines based on public expectations of a shootout or a comfortable favorite win, the opposite side can quietly carry value. Underdogs and unders in these spots have historically produced strong long-term returns for disciplined bettors. Tennis betting offers another underrated example of mispricing. Casual bettors often focus heavily on rankings or recent tournament wins, but the reality is that tennis is incredibly surface-dependent. Some players perform drastically differently on clay, grass, or hard courts. A player ranked lower overall might actually have a strong edge on a specific surface due to their playing style. When sportsbooks price matches primarily based on rankings and recent form, surface specialists can slip through the cracks. That's where sharp bettors step in, recognizing the stylistic advantage before the broader market catches on. What all these examples share is one key principle. Sportsbooks are constantly reacting to betting behavior. The lines are not purely predictions of who will win, they are pricing mechanisms designed to manage risk and balance action. When the public leans heavily toward a certain outcome, the odds adjust. And when those adjustments go slightly too far, mispricing appears.
The edge doesn't come from predicting the future perfectly. It comes from identifying when the probability implied by the odds doesn't accurately reflect the true chances of the outcome. This is why structured betting matters so much. Most people approach sports betting emotionally. They bet on teams they like, fighters they recognize, or outcomes that feel exciting. But long-term success comes from approaching betting like a portfolio. Every pick carries a certain unit size. Bankroll management protects against variance. Results are tracked transparently, and every bet is placed because it carries measurable value relative to the odds being offered. It's a methodical approach that removes impulsive decision-making and replaces it with consistent strategy. Within serious betting communities, this approach becomes even more powerful because information is shared and refined collectively. Breaking down matchups, identifying statistical edges, tracking line movement, and monitoring injury reports all contribute to finding those subtle, mispriced opportunities. Instead of chasing viral picks or gambling purely for entertainment, the focus shifts towards building a disciplined system that produces steady results over time. That's the philosophy behind structured betting groups that prioritize transparency and long-term consistency rather than short-term hype. The goal isn't just to provide picks, it's to build a community where bettors actually learn how to recognize value for themselves. Understanding why a bet is being placed is far more powerful than blindly following selections. When members begin to see how line movement works, how matchup data influences probabilities, and how public betting trends create mispriced odds, they start approaching betting with a completely different mindset. Instead of guessing outcomes, they begin evaluating odds. And that shift is what separates casual bettors from people who consistently stay profitable over time. Sports markets will always be competitive, and sportsbooks will continue refining their algorithms. But as long as public bias exists, mispriced lines will continue appearing across sports. Fighters will be overrated because of highlight reels, teams will be overpriced because of brand popularity, totals will shift because bettors chase excitement, and every one of those situations creates a small window where disciplined bettors can quietly step in and capture value. So if you're tired of chasing random picks, losing parlays, or following hype accounts that disappear after a bad week, it might be time to approach betting differently. The real edge isn't about finding guaranteed wins, it's about understanding the market, recognizing mispriced odds, and consistently making disciplined decisions. That's exactly what structured betting communities are designed to help with. If you want to start seeing how that process works in real time, you can join the Shmoney Picks Discord, where free picks are posted daily alongside breakdowns, unit tracking, and betting insights across MMA, NBA, NFL, tennis, and other major sports. It's a space built for bettors who want more than just hype, people who want to learn how to approach betting with structure, strategy, and long-term consistency. The link is in the description. Come check out the free picks, see the transparent results for yourself, and if you like the system, you can unlock premium access and exclusive plays through our membership options. Because the truth is, the most profitable bets are rarely the loudest ones. They're the quiet, mispriced opportunities that disciplined bettors recognize before everyone else does.